So, one of my favorite screens to look at is gas storage, and I like to look at this because it tells me when the system is doing certain things that I need to know, like how much pressure I have, how much storage I'm holding. My other screen that I really like to and actually regularly watch, because if this has a problem, remember we talked about the heart and the arteries. So here's the heart, and you can see that it's labeled and numbered. So if there is an issue, an alarm, it will tell me, oh, alarm, this valve number, this part number. So you can immediately track and go to where you need to fix something. You remember the light that you were pointing out on the valve? Okay, well those are check back lights. Yeah. If it doesn't send the signal to the system that, oh yeah, the valve is closed, the system won't advance. It's very protective, and it really locks you out from making mistakes. It's designed to be extremely automated, and so much so that, here,
have you run into issues where, let's say, a valve goes bust and the system basically locks you out? And do you have the, I mean, how does that work? Let's say a valve is like really broken.
Yeah, you just have to address it with the system. You'll have to sit there and either remove the valve and replace it.
Or bypass it?
Or bypass it, depending on the system and what you're trying to do, yeah.
Bypassing will probably give some time. You probably now understand where I'm asking these questions from. When we go do it back in a country like India, and if you're sourcing parts from Germany, there's a very good chance that we'll run into these kind of issues where these walls break down and things like that.
I haven't been here long enough to see them break down. What I have seen them do so far is that they'll send an issue like no check back signal, which is again that thing that the computer wants to know that the valve fully closed or fully opened. And so you go and you look at the valve and you go, oh, it didn't fully close. So now you either fix the valve or you have to acknowledge whether or not it's a check back signal. So here's an example. The valves are heavy and they move, they go
Yep.
And when it goes back, if it doesn't see the signal, you have to say, okay, is it all the way back? And so first of all I address that and I say, oh yeah, it's all the way back. Now what I need to do is move the sensor so that the sensor says, oh, it is all the way back.
It's recalibrating the sensor in some way.
Yeah, and it's most of the time that's what I have found, and I've only had to do it twice in the 4 months that I've been here. So,
I have one question.
Yeah.
Earlier, I think you talked about this earlier, and I just want to make sure I understand it. Once the digesters start up, there's some combination of lean gas and rich gas that come out, and you're trying to optimize the right concentration of green versus food waste. Right? Have you done any analysis to figure out, based on the composition or the proportion of green versus food waste, what is the quality of the lean and the quantity of lean versus rich gas?
No, we haven't done any analysis in that regard, and that was something that will probably come in the future. Right now, we're just getting. I mean, to be here 4 months and to be where we are at now, to give you an idea, we've already made. There was stuff in there I could have shown you that I didn't, which is data analysis and shows you how much production you've had, what percentage of running you've had. All of that's available in there.
Would you be willing to share that?
Yeah, I can show you that. That's not an issue. But what I wanted to show you is how advanced this is. So here's a graph analysis of what the percolate pump has done over the last 24 hours, or actually 36 hours. You have the ability to zoom in and see. So as an example, I can call the Germans and say, yeah, I saw some spiking. And what this is that you're seeing here is this is as it's feeding a digester, and then when you're seeing it dip, that's when it's feeding the sand trap. And the Germans can analyze this. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. The Germans can analyze that in many ways. And as an example, whenever you look at something, you want to have the ability to see it as a graph. So that graph gives you the ability to stand back and look at it in a large perspective. So this is the temperature change in the sand trap. And this was a period where it was a little bit cooler. Now we brought it back up online. Yesterday we had a time where it was down for a little bit. When we were adding percolate, adding water. So the temperature drops because I'm adding water. And then each one of these having different things. There's a pH that you're seeing there in the light blue. You see a small light hiccup in the pH right there. And then a steady line there. We like to see steady line in the pH. In the pump, we expect to see what I was showing you. This stuff. And as I said, the Germans can look at it, and I'm still new at this, but they'll look at it and they'll take this little section of graph and they'll go, Oh, you need to check the sprayer in number 4. I think you're having a problem with number 4's sprayer because so that's how.
Wow.
That's how, because they're 7 years into this, they can look at it and then immediately deduce different things than I can. And so I'm trying to learn from them. But the ability for the system to show you all of those things is, to me, just absolutely flabbergasting. How much percolate I've sprayed for the day, how much percolate the sand trap has received. These are all things that they're going to look at when they're looking at the system from the stand back. What the percentage level is of percolate in the tank, what the temperature of the percolate is in the tank. All of those things can be graphed and analyzed.
So forgive my ignorance on this, but once you decide to install a smart foam unit here, is there some sort of a warranty, or how long is the German counterpart able to provide this kind of support, where they look at the data maybe on a daily basis and say, hey, you want to check this valve, you want to whatever, you want to check the sprayer?
I don't know the warranty because that's not, something that's like the pricing. I haven't been told anything about that, except that I can tell you that they have made themselves readily available via online. They'll leave me notes on this. There's actually this is a computer, and so quite literally I can come to this screen and then see, we have documents, and then there was a note left for me by Ralph on this date, or on this, and it's I can't even tell you enough how connected this system is to the. So here's an example. The other gentleman I said that's trained to use this is in New York. He's my boss.
Yeah.
Okay. I think his wife made him leave without his laptop because she doesn't want him working on vacation because he's supposed to be on vacation.
Yeah.
Well, he's checking it on his phone.
Smartphone.
Yeah. We have it on our phones. We have it on our laptops. So I can access it, and the Germans can access it, and we can be on it at the same time. You could be in India, you could be in LA, and the two of you could be talking, going, I think they did something to the valves, and I'm just looking at, here, I'll just play the game. I'm just looking at this valve, and I noticed they put it in manual. Did we have a problem with that sprayer? And then, then the counterpart in India says, yeah, we had a problem. One of the drivers, he bent one of the sprayers, so we just opened both valves,
The contour I see there, is that really the profile of the adjuster?
No, it's just a graphic image.
That would have blown me away, by the way. If that was a real contour.
No. It's a graphic image they put up. And this is actually just a graphic image. This bladder is actually 2 times the size of this bladder.
Fair enough.
But just for simplicity.
Fair enough.
And maybe in the future it'll be more realistic looking. Yeah, who knows. But when you empty it, this shows as being empty. It'll all be that gray color instead of loaded with that. And it'll say, in loading. And so here's a parameter scale so you can see. So this is the phases that it's going to go through. And it takes it through these phases automatically.
This is really cool.
This is all done by the SCADA system. It's all automatic. It's handled in such a way that it knows that it's looking for this temperature before it starts to do this. It's looking for this methane content before it goes to here. And all of those things, to some extent, are controllable. Let's say you can operate and change them if you want, but if you can't do it, the system won't let you. Whenever you see an I, so I'll take you back, this means the system is controlling that and I can't change it. The system is controlling these, I can't change it. But here, I can control those, I can control all of these. Right now it's allowing it to drain back to the sand trap because you can see it's open and the line flows. So in terms of trying to teach people, it's really straightforward. It really is designed so that you can follow. I mean, I don't have one that's not online right now, so I can show you the difference between what one looks like when it's online and one looks like when it's not. But right now you can see it's sending gas to biogas storage. And right here, see this thing says gas analyzer. Let's see if we can find out where that is in the scheme of things. Oh, so right now it's going to be reading vessel 3. So if we go to vessel 3, see that line now continues?
This is really hard to believe that you've only done this for 4 months. How long did your training period take? Did someone fly from Germany and they spent a week with you to walk you through how the facility works and the control system?
They were here during the entire commissioning process, and when I came on site, one team had when I came on site, one team had 2 more days and then they left, and and then a new team replaced them 2 days later, and I worked with him for 2 weeks straight. And then he headed out, and then another guy came about 2 or 3 days after him, and we worked with him for a few more days. In reality, you could probably have somebody trained enough to operate it within about a month. Not necessarily operate it to where you would feel that you would leave them alone, and nor would the Germans want to leave them alone, but within a month's time they'll have a good idea of what they're doing, especially after doing it every day. When I come in, I do my checklists. I go through to make sure the engine's proper and that the system is doing what it needs to do. And the best way I could describe it to you is my checklist time on site is probably about a half an hour to 45 minutes. Then I spend maybe 45 minutes to an hour on site moving food waste into the receiving bay. Depends on the size of the load, obviously. And then the majority of the rest of my time on site is usually done doing maintenance or cleaning. And on the average day, I'm here about 3.5, 4 hours. And on a load-unload day, I'll be here generally for about 6 to 8 hours, depending on what I have to do. So it just depends on what your day's schedule is. But in terms of labor, we'd like to say that we target about 25 hours a week. So a little less than a full-time job. In Germany, though, and that's, again, I have help that pick the food waste, and then also with the bringing it here, and sometimes even loading it in the receiving bay, and also unloading and loading it. In Germany, one person will do everything. Really cool. Now, what they also will do in Germany, and I haven't seen this, I haven't been a part of it, is they will situate one of these plants in amongst other plants. So in other words, they locate this not only at their waste management facility, but they also, just like it's located here, have it next to a composter. So it's sort of and then also by the wastewater treatment facility. So here's the advantage in Germany. When the guy is gone for the day, if there's a problem with the pump, they'll call the people from the wastewater treatment place and say, hey, there's a pump problem. Can you go take a look at it? Because that guy works on pumps all day. Or if they have some issue with the compost, they'll call the compost guy and say, hey, come over and get the compost out of there and tell me what your analysis of it is. So it's an interesting dynamic, because they, like I said, they marry it together with other things on site to make it to their advantage.
Yeah.
So that there is somebody on site all the time. The composters here, they arrive to work about 6 in the morning.